Never in the annals of human history have two letters caused so much controversy as O and R. Arguments raged endlessly, sometimes with slightly raised voices. Friendships were strained, careers were made and ended, and lives were changed forever. That's maybe kind of an exaggeration. There is a genuine debate going on, though, and these videos were getting kind of dry. Okay, so an or sentence is referred to as a disjunction. And then the two components that are joined by or are the disjuncts. So, like, use it or lose it, right? This is the disjunction, and then use it and lose it. Those are the two disjuncts. The debate um, is over how to interpret um, or how to give an account of the meaning of the English word or, given that there's two types of disjunctions that are used in English, right, which are referred to as inclusive and exclusive. So, inclusive or an inclusive disjunction, this is true when both of the disjuncts are true. So, take this for example. Our ice cream tastes great with sprinkles or chocolate syrup. Right. If somebody says this, they're certainly not ruling out the possibility that you would put both sprinkles and chocolate syrup on the ice cream, right? It's still going to be true, right? That they're still claiming that the ice cream will taste good if you put both of them on, right? So this is an inclusive disjunction. An exclusive disjunction is true when exactly one of the disjuncts is true, but not both. So take, for example, you can have coffee or tea with your meal, right? When this is normally uttered, you can't have both, right? They won't actually give you both coffee or tea. You can only have one or the other. So the issue is that or in English appears to be ambiguous between these two interpretations. And so the problem is, how do you determine the logical form of English sentences, and what sort of account do you give of the meaning of the word or? And yeah, there has been an enormous amount written on this particular subject. In SL, this is the characteristic truth table of disjunction. This is the symbol that we use for it. This is the wedge. The disjunction is true if and only if either disjunct is true, or both of them are. It is false only when both of the disjuncts are false. So this, of course, this is inclusive disjunction. Right? That's the account of disjunction that we're using in SL. Um, that's also the type of or the position that we're taking here is that this is the way that or works in English. That's the position that we take in this course. Is that the English or is normally inclusive. Um, what this means for your purposes is that if you have an or sentence, you can symbolize it with a wedge, unless it's clear that what is intended is exclusive. Um, and this is normally by it is clear that what is intended is exclusive is normally going to be because the possibility that both possibility or both of the disjuncts are true has actually been explicitly ruled out in the sentence. Um, See, the two main positions that you get on English or are one account is that or is ambiguous. And sometimes it's inclusive, sometimes it's exclusive. And then you have various accounts of exactly how this, details on how exactly this works. The other idea is that, and this is, basically the interpretation that we're taking in this course, is that or in English is inclusive. That's the logical form of or as it works in English. But very often in context, there will be background information that indicates that both possibilities can't be true. So, on this account, right, the way that you understand, you can have coffee or tea with your meal is that that's actually an inclusive disjunction. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but the way that we interpret it is it's an inclusive disjunction, but then, you know, competent English speakers will have background information about the way that restaurants work. And that background information tells you that you can't get two drinks with a meal. So, on the basis of that background information, you know that both of the disjuncts can't be true, but that's not actually part of the meaning of the sentence. So, the or there is still inclusive. It's something else, this background information that rules out the possibility that both disjuncts are true. This position is, I mean, it's controversial, right? It's not a universally accepted position at all. The reason that we're taking it here is just that it's a lot simpler, and it greatly simplifies your symbolizations if you take this position on how English works. So that's the view on it that we're going to take for now. And then, later on in future courses, you could worry about whether that's really the correct way of doing it or not. But here's how we're going to do it for now. Okay, when you're paraphrasing disjunctions, the textbook uses either or. So if you have Aristotle is dead or a medical miracle, either Aristotle is dead or Aristotle is a medical miracle, right? The or goes in the middle, the either marks the beginning of it. Um, Note here that disjunctions are compressed often very much the same way that conjunctions are, right? So Aristotle is dead or a medical miracle gets turned into right, two separate sentence letters like this. Um, at the paraphrasing step two, you may also want to drop the either and introduce parentheses, right? Same way as we talked about with conjunction, right? You may find this an easier way to paraphrase it. Um, oh, and actually, one final thing to note while we're on the topic of inclusive and exclusive disjunctions, some EFL courses I know actually teach that if somebody says either or, that phrase indicates an exclusive disjunction, whereas or by itself is inclusive. That's not quite true, actually. So what the either does is it emphasizes the disjunction. So it adds emphasis to it. And in a lot of contexts, by adding that emphasis, you clarify that what you're talking about is an exclusive disjunction. So a lot of the time, it does actually clarify that it's an exclusive disjunction, but it doesn't directly change the meaning of it. It just adds that emphasis. And so either or can still often be an inclusive disjunction. Um, okay, so that is the basics of how or works.